Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip and Shannon, let's debate.
You not feeling it today?
No, I don't want to beat you up every day.
Oh, okay. So it's a big advantage, man. How are you?
Got to give you a chance today.
Okay.
How you feeling? Hey, Joy, how you doing today? I like the black.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Also, I mean, what's going on? You black, somber? I mean,
just wearing a black dress today.
She's trying to.
Well, you already know what's going to happen to Skip.
She's trying to dress the way I dress.
Mm-hmm. Sophisticated.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, that's your story. You gonna stick to it?
Let's get it started. Start with big news in the NFL. Adrian Peterson has found a new team. AP plans to sign a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Saints, according to ESPN. Peterson only played 3 games last season after he tore the meniscus in his right knee. The Saints play at Peterson's old team, the Vikings, in Week 1. Shannon, is this a good fit?
It's the only fit. We've all been shopping, and you go to a store, you're like, okay, you ask the lady, do you have this in a extra large? She goes to the back, comes back like, no, we only have double or large. And you start thinking to yourself, now, if I get the double X, I could wash it in hot water, dry it, might shrink it. If I get the large, I could stretch it so it might fit. And this is where Adrian Peterson is, Skip. He could have stayed. There's no doubt in my mind. He could have stayed in Minnesota for $7 to $8 million a year. But that's not how he saw himself. He saw himself as a $10 to $12 million. So I ain't doing that. I'm not coming back here unless y'all give me 10 to 12. They're like, the $10 to $12 million market for a running back at age 32 is gone. It is no more. He couldn't understand that, Skip. So guess what? He said, I'm taking my show on the road. Goes to Seattle. He still want that $10 to $12 million. They signed Eddie Lacy for about, 3.5. He goes to Minnesota. Now, see, I think Minnesota was, not Minnesota, he goes to New England.
Yep.
I think that was a power move. That was a move. Well, if New England's interested, they always, they know something we don't. Nah, don't really fit what we're going to do. So now he goes to New Orleans. $3.5 million a year, maybe some incentives, he can get it on up. Because here's the thing, this is why it fits, Skip. You know why it's starting to fit now? What's going to happen on Thursday, Skip? The draft. Running backs.
That's right. I forgot.
Oh, yeah. Guess who didn't forget what's happening on Thursday? Adrian Peterson. Running backs. There are going to be a few of those go in the first round, some in the second round, third, fourth, and fifth. So now you're draining that pool of which the teams that which you fit. Skip, this is not a good fit, because guess what? Drew Brees threw the ball 673 times. He is a volume passer, which means he throws the ball on average between 40 and 43 times a game. If you're a good NFL football team, you run the ball, you'll have between 60 and 68 plays a game. So if Drew Brees is throwing the ball 43 times a game, Skip, that leaves 25 carries. That means you had a very good game. You ran 68 plays. Okay, you got Mark Ingram, paying him a lot of money. How many carries that's going to be for Adrian Peterson? Adrian Peterson is a volume carry guy. He's not a guy that can hit you up for get 5 carries and get you, say, 50 yards. That's not what he is. He's a volume. The more you give it to him, the more he'll bang on your defense and the more he'll wear them down. I just don't see the carries. Is it a good fit? I don't think it's a good fit, but I think it's the only fit because time was running out and he needed to find a home.
It might have been the only fit, but I'm not with you on your conclusion. I think it's a really good fit for Adrian. And again, did he just eat a whole bunch of humble pie here? That was rough on him. I'm sure it's rough on, I know him, that was rough on his psyche.
Of course.
Maybe on his confidence, on his ego, because he had to come to grips with how tough this league is on that position. He's played 10 years. He's had big knee injuries. They're just saying no. They basically said no to Adrian Peterson. The whole league did.
Missed 15 games in 2014. Missed another 13 games in 2016.
Yeah. What's he played? Like 20 out of the last whatever games. Like it's not enough.
So 48.
Yeah. 20 out of 48 games, which is 42%. So.
Oh, you did that? You a math major? I thought you were.
My man Tyler Korn did that.
Oh, okay. So now
he's a wizard. Yeah.
I knew it was something. I knew it would come out.
Yeah. So I'm not so sure that Minnesota didn't say no to him. I'm not so sure that after they had a quick financial impasse and it became clear because he was scheduled to make $18 million.
Exactly.
That Minnesota didn't, upon further review, just say, you know what, it's just time to cut bait. You know, he sort of ran our franchise for all those years. Let's go in a new direction.
Skip, after what he meant to that franchise, he's the greatest running back of his generation. You don't think they'd have been willing to split the difference or maybe go down to $7-8 million?
If they had been willing to do that, they would have done that because it would be clear. You just sit back and lay in the weeds until the league said no, and then he would sort of come back with helmet in hand to you, and you'd make a deal with them for $5 million, $7 million, whatever it was, and he would have to be happy with that. And our man Chris Carter, who obviously is a Hall of Fame Minnesota Viking, he just couldn't believe that Adrian didn't want to do whatever it took to stay home and finish at home in Minnesota. And you said the same thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I get all that. But I think Minnesota, in the end, Spielman, the ownership, the Wilfs, finally just said, we've had enough of this, and he hasn't been available for us much of the last 3 years.
Correct.
Did play all of 2015.
And led the league in rushing.
And he led the league in rushing. But it just felt like they finally said no also. But let's get back to New Orleans. Who is Sean Payton? What is he? How do I see him? He's a watch this guy. He's an I'll show you NFL kind of guy to me. He's smug. He's arrogant. I don't even mean, I mean those as positives because he is full of himself as a very clever and creative play caller. I think he might be about as good a play caller as there is in the National Football League.
Yeah, but he ain't known for his runs. He's known for his passing attack.
Well, I don't know about that because I look back when they won the Super Bowl in 2009, they started out 13-0 that year.
Yes.
They were pretty balanced that year. They threw it 514 times and ran it 468 times. That's 52% passes to 48% runs. That's reasonable, right?
So what's 673?
Okay. I don't know if you remember this, but I asked Drew Brees that when we had him on at the Super Bowl, and he did not appreciate the question. He got a little irritated with me for trying to hold his feet to the fire on that. And what was his answer? I'm going to paraphrase it and just sum it up for you. He said, we kept getting behind so quickly, we had no choice but to throw it. They went 7-9 last year. And you're right, I got 674. I think you had 73, whichever. I got 674 to 404 passes to runs. Which is 63% passes, which is no good. You can't win consistently that imbalance to me. But I will say this. Last year, they were number 1 in the NFL in yards gained, and they were number 2 in points scored. So that worked, right? They were 31st in points allowed. So they got defensive issues, correct?
So did they? So what?
They addressed it by signing Manti Te'o. Really? That's it? That's all you got? That's all they did. That's all that I know of at this point. And they thought maybe they might have a Malcolm Butler, and now it looks like they will not be able to trade for Malcolm Butler because the price is going to be too high.
The Manti Te'o with the imaginary?
That guy.
Oh.
You remember that guy. He's been an okay player in San Diego, kind of way under the radar.
Is he going to be a difference maker for them?
Nope, I don't think so. So will they be appreciably better on defense? No. But what could they be appreciably better at?
Keeping the ball.
Ball control, time of possession, balance it up, run the clock a little bit more. You're going to make your yards. You're going to make you complete your passes, but balance it up. So last year, Mark Ingram, who's still pretty much in his prime, I don't know, you might say he's starting to get it toward the end of his prime, right? But he had 205 carries, and Tim Hightower had 133, which is quite a few carries for Tim Hightower, who left via free agency for the 49ers.
Right.
Okay, so now what? Here comes Adrian Peterson. What I'm saying is, if Sean Payton goes out on that watch this limb toward the rest of the NFL, which rejected Adrian Peterson, I think Sean Payton will try to figure out ways to utilize and maximize Adrian Peterson at this stage of his life. And again, 10 years with big knee injuries, and I don't know how long he's going to last, but you can also argue that he's got to be fresh because he just hadn't played much lately, right?
Skip, it's hard for me to believe that the Minnesota Vikings would rather have Latavius Murray at $5 million a year as opposed to Adrian Peterson at that same salary or slightly above. Considering, and like I said, Adrian needed to weigh. Look at what I have here in Minnesota. Look how I'm treated in Minnesota. I am a firm believer. The devil you know is always better than the one you don't. because Adrian Peterson, it's been a long, long time since he's played in a preseason game. It's been a long, long time since he's been required to practice. I'm talking about really practice in the regular season. Skip, he overplayed his hand. He went back to Minnesota when they said we want a reduction in pay. He probably went back at them at 10 to 12. They were probably somewhere between 6 and 8. It's hard for me to believe, given what he's meant to that team, given what he's meant to that city, they would not re-sign him back for $6 to $8 million a year. I just find that hard to believe.
Okay, so Sean Payton just went way out on the end of the watch this limb because he's
for $3 million.
Okay, but it's pretty cheap buy, 3 to 4 with some incentives. Okay, but what did we find out about what was going on in Adrian's career? 95% of his carries in the National Football League over 10 seasons came out of the I formation with the fullback. Who's still on the roster, maybe underutilized in New Orleans, who used to be in Green Bay? John Kuhn. Okay, so they do have a legit fullback. I think he's going on 35 years of age.
Okay, how about this, Skip? Okay. Which is a better fit, New Orleans or Seattle?
I like New Orleans because, again, if they want him, if Sean Payton wants him, trust me, he'll figure out ways to maximize Adrian Peterson.
Skip.
Okay, well, just watch. They'll start running some I formation, or he will figure out how to get Adrian in the shotgun and utilize him in the shotgun in ways that nobody else has ever figured out. The one thing I don't bet against Sean Payton on is offensive creativity. Is he not the best?
Yeah.
I don't know a better one. I don't know anybody.
There's no question.
Okay.
But listen, but you're talking about Adrian Peterson if he's been in his career a dual guy. That means he shared the workload. He used to being the guy, not a guy.
Well, he's 32 after 10 years.
But if he saw himself like that, he would still be in Minnesota. He doesn't. Skip. You know greats don't view themselves as anything other than great, regardless of their age.
Okay, but the NFL rejected him except for one team, so he ate the humble pie.
Right.
He's been humbled to the point where he had to agree with Sean Payton, hey, I got 133 carries left over here. There's no Tim Hightower.
Right.
Would you be happy with 133 that could become, knowing Adrian and Sean Payton, 175 carries? Maybe he balances it up between Ingram.
At that point in time, Skip, you know what? I remember when I was growing up and my grandma used to say, okay, boys, it's time to eat dinner. And I look at it, I was like, I don't want to eat that. She's like, well, okay, we'll do without. What other choices did Adrian Peterson have at this point, Skip?
Okay.
What could he do? And Sean Payton said, Sean Payton just said, if I got, listen, $3.5 million. If you buy an outfit, Skip, you might not like it, but you know what? I done paid for it. I'm wearing this. I don't care what it looks like. I bought it. I'm wearing it. So guess what? The Saints, you just bought a $3.5 million running back. You might as well get some use out of it. Now, how much and the value of that usage you're going to get, it remains to be seen, Skip. But Drew Brees is a volume passer. They throw the football. Drew Brees like having 5,000-yard seasons. You think Drew Brees, let me ask you a question, Skip. You think Drew Brees would be happy throwing for 4,000 yards?
If they could go, 12-4? Yeah, get back to the glory days. I think he's sick of this. I looked in his eyes across the table at the Super Bowl, and he did not like the fact of having to spit out the fact that they were 7-9 last year, and they were extremely imbalanced pass to run.
They've always been that way,
Skip. I just gave you the stat, and they won the Super Bowl, and it was almost 50-50.
Skip, how long ago has that been?
Okay, 2009. I don't have year by year, but
okay,
in their best years, they know it, and Sean Payton has talked often about this. We got to be more balanced. Yeah, okay? But when you're 7-9, you're falling behind quickly. You're just going to throw. That's all they were last year.
How about this here? If you what'd you say, number one in total yards? Number two in points?
Yep.
Okay. That doesn't seem to be your problem. And you keep falling behind. Wouldn't you want to address the side that keeps costing you to fall behind?
It's like the Cowboy syndrome. Did they address their defense last year? No. They have the same old defense, right?
Jerry says they're better than what
I'm talking about going into last year.
Yeah.
Right. So they addressed it by getting a running back and a quarterback, both of whom allowed you to dominate time of possession. Okay, that'll work. That'll keep your defense off the field.
Now, which one of these New Orleans Saints is one of the five best offensive linemen in football? Because that's what Dallas had.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
They just who was number one in yards and second in points? Oh, these guys were. Oh,
and Skip. So But what were they in total defense?
31st in points allowed.
Think about that, Skip.
Yeah.
You're second in points. You're second in points scored. You're number one in total yards, and you finished 79. What does that tell you?
It tells you you either need to fix the defense or run the football a whole lot more. And apparently he's angling toward running the football a whole lot more. And I will bet you they will.
That's what you believe.
I do. Again, the question is this a good fit? I think for Adrian, it's a great fit because he's going to get maximized at age 32 in ways nobody else was even willing to take a shot at him.
They weren't willing to take a shot at him at $8 million. See, I bet you, if you give him truth serum, I guarantee you Seattle had $3.5 million on the table for Adrian Peterson. I bet you they had that. Skip, we're going to ask Chris Carter. It's hard for me to believe that the Minnesota Vikings would not have come to the table for Adrian Peterson for $7 to $8 million, given what he's done. It's hard for me to believe. Now, if the GM says no, we're ready to move on. If the coach, because the coach, they said we would love to have Adrian, but at a reduced price.
Maybe, but you could go full circle and then you could go back to them and say, hey, I tested the market and I'm willing to take less money.
Skip, hold on. If I go to buy a house and the house is, say, $500,000, and I circle back 6 months later, I'm not giving you $500,000 because the house hadn't sold. It was $500.
Yes,
now I'm offering you $375, $400. What you want to do? You can still pay 2 mortgages, or you can let your boy get the house.
You lost me with all that house. That's way over my head. I
3 points.
I can't even buy a house in Los Angeles.
No,
I'm overwhelmed.
I'm just Skip. Do you actually think after he done went back, they were still going to have $7, $8 million on the table for him when they know? Skip, don't you think teams talk? You actually think they were? Hold on, Minnesota, we got $7, $8 million.
I think Minnesota second-guessed themselves after one round of negotiations with Adrian Peterson and just said, you know what, we're out. We're going to move forward.
Skip, he wanted $10 to $12 million.
Okay, so.
Okay, what?
They didn't like, they would think of the psychology. What if we did browbeat him down? What if we just stalemated him and he finally came crawling back to us for $5 million? Whatever you said, $7 million.
Yeah.
You think he'd be happy with that in Minnesota? I don't think he would be.
Skip.
He has to be happy with it in New Orleans. He has no other choice.
The moment free agency opened, 3 days in, they had signed Latavius Murray for $15 million for 3 years.
Yeah, but they'd already gone through a round of negotiations with Adrian.
Skip.
Yeah, they knew where the line was drawn.
Right, because they looked out there and they saw the market. And there's like, how many $7 to $8 million running backs are out there that are 32 coming off injury in the last 2014 wasn't an injury, but 2015.
They felt like they're buying a figurehead in Adrian Peterson, and they didn't want a figurehead. They wanted a new way, a new direction with the franchise, without him being the face of the franchise.
All they said is, okay, if you want to test the market, first of all, Skip, if you test the market and come back, what are you telling me? You couldn't get what you wanted. So now I know that. You actually think I'm going to give you what you wanted in the beginning when you done went out and tested the market, and now you come back groveling to me? Okay. No.
Okay.
$3 million. He took $3.5 million from the Saints. There's no question in my mind Minnesota had double that on the table. And he turned it down because he views himself as Adrian Peterson the Great, the MVP. That's not how they view him.
I still think this is a much better fit for him than Minnesota would be on the football field.
It's the only fit.
No mercy. Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs have a crucial Game 5 tonight against the Grizzlies. In Game 4 over the weekend, Kawhi had 24 points in the fourth quarter and overtime to lead the Spurs' comeback. But they lost in overtime to Memphis. Kawhi is averaging nearly 33 points per game in the series. Skip, has Kawhi made the case that he's the best two-way player in the NBA?
Shannon Sharpe, you'll remember that after Game 2 of this series, Reggie Miller, the great Reggie Miller of TNT, made the case on air that Kawhi just might have eclipsed LeBron James as a two-way, all-around basketball player. Remember that part? And at that point, my Spurs were up 2-0 going to Memphis in that series. I thought Kawhi Leonard made an even stronger case on Saturday night, albeit in a loss at Memphis that evened the series at 2 games all. I will say this up front. Tonight is a huge night for Kawhi Leonard, and he has another big showcase place to make his case against LeBron James. Not that he's thinking about LeBron tonight, because they're in death mode right now. This is a must-win Game 5, I think, for my San Antonio
The best
Spurs.
two-way player got to go to a Game 5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because he's up against a really tough team that has more stars than he has. So the point was the Spurs had no business of even being in the game on Saturday night because they were miserable. The rest of the Spurs shot 2 of 20 from the three-point line. The team was getting crushed on the boards, 51-37 in the end. And Kawhi Leonard somehow willed them back into that game with, as Joy just pointed out, 24 of his 43 points in the fourth quarter and overtime. Memphis was up 8 with about 4 minutes left. I was done with it. I thought they had no chance, no way out of this one. And Kawhi took the game over with 2 huge late steals and 5 huge late threes that pushed Memphis right to the brink. And it took even huger clutch shots by Mike Conley Jr. at the end of regulation and by Marc Gasol at the end of overtime to save the night for Memphis. And it left the breakout star of these playoffs, David Fizdale, you know Fizz, right? It left him sputtering and shaking his head after the game, and he said, and I'll just quote quickly, "I'm taking suggestions on how to guard Kawhi Leonard. I've tried everything, and the guy is just ... and then he heaved a big sigh because he's basically unguardable when he goes off like that. He alone took the game over on offense and defense because he alone took Mike Conley Jr., who I told you the other day, a week ago, I said Mike Conley Jr. is the most underrated and underpublicized player in the NBA. That was off your comment that they are offensively challenged. Trust me, Mike Conley is not offensively challenged, nor is Marc Gasol. But in the fourth quarter and overtime, Kawhi said at 6 feet 7 inches tall, I'll take little 6-foot Mike Conley Jr., and he basically nullified him. And again, one big steal came off Mike Conley Jr. So in the end, I had only one regret about that game, and I'll throw this out, being objective about it. It did come down to one last shot by Kawhi at the end of regulation. And I always criticize LeBron James for this because I thought Kawhi was indecisive in what he should have done. He should have, as I always say about LeBron, just attacked James Ennis III, who's a very good and underrated defender, but he has no reputation. And if you just attack him and take him to the basket, you're probably going to get to the free throw line at worst. And what is Kawhi Leonard in this series? Help me out, Shannon Sharpe, with your research that you do. What is Kawhi in this series from the free throw line? Help me out. 40 for 40. Wait, he's made all 40 of his free throws? He's made all 7 in the fourth quarter and overtime? Wow.
Me and my trusted advisor,
your
sidekick, Steve Owens.
Your puppeteer?
Yeah, that's unnecessary, Skip.
Okay.
That's unnecessary.
So,
that man got a family.
I know you've lost track of this, but LeBron in those 4 games against the Pacers went 22 of 38 from the free throw line. That's 58% after he vowed.
I don't need you to make a case for LeBron. Just make your case for Kawhi.
And by the way, in the fourth quarter of those games against the Pacers, LeBron went 8 for 17, which is, wait a second, that's 47% if my math is right. That's below 50%. That's in hack a LeBron territory. Is he becoming a liability at the free throw line in the fourth quarter? Wow. So Kawhi Leonard, let's see. Kawhi was the lone all-star on his team. Oh, wait. LeBron had. Oh, wait. He had the other guy. What's the other guy's name? Oh, Unc, right? Yeah. He had Kyrie.
He had those guys this year. Oh. But where were they last year?
Well, we're talking about right now.
Okay,
right here, right now. So Kyrie was an all-star. Was Kevin Love an all-star?
Yes.
Oh, so LeBron had 2 other all-stars on his team. Kawhi had none on his team.
Am I going to be able to make a point? At some point, you're going to stall me out.
So Kawhi is more clutch than LeBron. Obviously, he's a better three-point shooter. He's a better mid-range jump shooter. And he's a way better free throw shooter than LeBron James. And at this point and stage in LeBron's life and career, I think Kawhi has definitely eclipsed him as a two-way defender. He's just a much better defender. I'm sorry.
How about this? They're close. LeBron is Earth and Kawhi is Mars. I didn't say Jupiter. I didn't say Pluto. I didn't say Neptune, Saturn. They're close. How close is Earth and Mars? What?
I don't know. I have to look it up. Oh, see, he looked it up.
I don't know, Skip.
Hey, did you look this up? Because I'm going to use this weird analogy.
We know he didn't know because he didn't sniff.
No, I didn't. Hold on, Skip, hold on. Okay, Kawhi, for the playoffs, going to Game 5.
Yep.
32, 6, and 3. Joe, can I interest you in 33, 10, and 9? Now, you keep telling me Kawhi is more clutch than LeBron. I see LeBron hit a 3 that won them the game and the series.
I want to talk about that three in just a minute.
I don't want you to talk right now. I've got
I'm going to
the
let you go for a little
Thank
bit.
you. That would be very nice of you, Mr. Bayless. Thank you so much. I saw Kawhi. DJ, drop that beat. When you look at the beat, look at the beat. Watch this, Skip. From Fort Wayne.
Wait, DJ.
No!
Could we replay that?
No,
Could we
Skip.
re-rack that, please?
Okay.
Could we re-rack that? Because did you see the NBA's last 2-minute report on that game? Wait, did you see this?
Now,
Wait, watch right here. They said LeBron moved his pivot foot and they should have called walking, traveling.
Oh,
okay, but they said it. You can read it in the 2-minute report. Watch over here. Watch, wait. He's got his pivot feet. What left one is anchored. Oh, wait, he moved. He shuffled his feet. You can't do that. And they said in the 2-minute report they should have called a travel on LeBron James, so it shouldn't have counted. You're nullified. You're wiped off. You don't get to use that.
This is what I know. LeBron hit a three that won the game and the series. Kawhi airballed it. Hold on, Skip. Don't Skip. Stop. Now, Skip. When you was talking, I didn't interrupt you. You keep doing this to me. Why? I didn't even mention the 44 seconds in overtime when Kawhi bounced the ball off his foot. I wouldn't dare do that.
Okay.
Because let me ask you a question, Joy, because you seem to be the only reasonable person up here between us two. Would you rather be down by 8 with 4.5 minutes or down by 25 at the half?
Would you rather be playing the
Skip,
Pacers or the Grizzlies?
Skip.
I think I'd rather be playing the woeful Pacers with Paul George wannabe LeBron.
Is it Skip,
no guts,
is it
no
Skip Taylor
intangibles?
or Joy Bayless? I just need to know which one I'm talking to right now.
Yeah, you're talking to me.
Okay, Skip, you keep talking about what let's see here. Kawhi. The only thing, Skip, I will give you this. The only thing that Kawhi Leonard can do better than LeBron on a nightly basis is defend. LeBron scores better.
Wow. Surprised you gave me that one.
He scores, he assists, he rebounds the ball more. Because there's a reason why. Think about it, Skip. LeBron was third on his team in rebounding, but his totals would have been number one on San Antonio.
He
Kawhi,
is 6'9", 260. He's huge.
Hold on, how tall is Kawhi?
6'7".
Oh, okay.
Kawhi weighs maybe
those 2 inches.
40 pounds less than LeBron.
Those 2 inches goes a long way when you assist in the basketball.
40 pounds go a long way.
Skip.
Huh? You know,
Silence!
LeBron should be averaging a lot more rebounds than he gets.
First of all, Skip, let's see. At year 14, at 32 years of age, one LeBron James, born to Gloria James, in 1984, averaged...
Keep going. Eat the clock. Ball control.
37.8. He led the league in minutes played.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard was 34th with 33 minutes. Skip, wouldn't you love to be LeBron and play 33 minutes a game and all you're asked to do is score the basketball and occasionally defend? But Skip, in his first, you know what? How is Kawhi so good and has one 40-point game in his first 6 seasons? LeBron had 33. And you know what? And this is the tapper. And I'm going to be done with it, Skip. And I ain't going to say no more because I'm tired of talking. My throat hurting. Ain't got nothing in there, Skip. The last 3 games, when it mattered the most, somebody came to LeBron. He said he was laying in his bed one night. He said, I'm going to make it real difficult on you, LeBron James. He says, what I'm going to do.
Oh, wait, you're saying God's talking about
somebody talking, there's a voice. And he said he was laying on his couch. He had sent Savannah away out to the grocery store with the kids. And he was sitting on his couch and a voice came to him. And he said, LeBron James, I'm going to put you up against something that nobody thinks you can do. But I believe in you. I'm going to put you up against the greatest regular season team in history, 73-9. And you're going to have to take down a 2-time, back-to-back MVP, and the last time he was unanimous. And you're also going to have to beat the coach of the year. But see, if I gave it to you easy, LeBron, people still would shortchange you. But I'm going to make it 3-1. And 2 of the last 3 games, you're going to have to win on the road.
And then God said,
wait.
And then God said, and LeBron, I'm going to give you a lot of help. I'm going to take Draymond away, and I'm going to take Bogut away.
Skip, I want you to stop it.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm going to make it real difficult for you, LeBron. He said, I'm going to put you down 3-1.
Can we get back to the question, please?
He said, but this is what you're going to have to do, LeBron. He said, you're going to have to be, you can't be mortal. You can't be one of the super friends.
That's enough.
36,
Enough of this
12, and 10
blasphemy. This is
over
blasphemy.
the last 3 games, Skip.
Yeah.
When Kawhi can do that.
Yeah, your idolatry knows no bounds. So back to the real world and back to what just happened this regular season, not in ancient history past.
Okay, how many points did Kawhi average?
Okay, wait a second. How about let's do this stat. Late and close situations, this regular season that we just finished, right? That's the last 2 minutes game within 4 points. Kawhi Leonard led the NBA plus 62 on plus minus. LeBron was tied for 33rd, way down here with Brandon Jennings and Kelly Oubre and Dennis Schroeder. Wow, really? That's LeBron down at 33rd. But let's do another one. Let's do game on the line, which is the last 24 seconds game within 3. Kawhi scored over the regular season 18 points. LeBron only scored 7 points. His plus minus was plus 21 to LeBron's plus 6. So clutch situations. I told you, this is just Kawhi's team. Last year, they tried to give the ball to LaMarcus, and they failed miserably. This year, they said, it's you or bust. The Spurs won 61 games that should have been 63 or 4 games because of Kawhi Leonard, period, end of story. They don't have any other All-Stars. Yeah. Manu Ginobili, have you been watching him lately? He's 39 going on 40. He scored how many points in this series so far against the Memphis Grizzlies? Manu, can you help me on that?
Can I ask you a question, Skip?
Call Steve.
You're asking.
0. Manu Ginobili scored 0 points in 4 games. You want to talk about no help? 0.
You keep talking about Kawhi coming back from 8 points. It was 4 minutes to go. But you didn't mention anything about LeBron coming back from 25 with Darren Williams, Channing Frye, Kyle Korver, and Iman Shumpert.
It's against a pathetic team led, quote unquote, by Paul George, who went 0 for 5 in that third quarter.
Skip, guess who had a better home record? Indiana or the Grizzlies? The Groundhouse.
All I know is 42 and 40. 42 and 40. They're pathetic.
What was Memphis' record? What was Memphis' record again?
Wait, did Memphis beat Golden State? Wait, who came back from 24 down at Golden State and won by 9 in overtime?
Sacramento beat Golden State.
Wow.
The Nuggets beat Golden State.
Okay, who's
the
better?
Heat beat Golden State.
That's all that matters. Who's better, Memphis or
LeBron James.
Indiana?
LeBron James. LeBron James.
Thank you for your answer.
LeBron James.
Yeah,
Skip.
I got it.
Your guy won a Finals MVP, averaging 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists.
And defending like a demon.
LeBron James against your Heat, against your Spurs that year they went Game 7, 25, 11, and 7. Last year, he was 29, 11, and 10 against big three before they even get started. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook.
Before they even knew how to
Before
play.
they got started.
Yeah.
Bust them up. 28-11.
Well, the Spurs host the Grizzlies tonight for a Game 5.
They playing still?
Yes.
They still playing.
Just so you know, also, Mars to Earth is 33.9 million.
33. Hey.
Write that down.
Guess what? Guess what, Skip?
You got that wrong?
Skip.
You said 93.
We threw it out there and then didn't know.
Skip. LeBron came home Sunday night, spun the globe. Say, Savannah, close your eyes and touch a space. Touch a spot. We go in there. Cabo San Luca. Pack his bags, he's in Cabo right now.
They're going right now?
Yeah, he already there.
No mercy. The Grizzlies and Spurs play Game 5 tonight in San Antonio. The Grizzlies tied up the series 2 games apiece when Marc Gasol hit a game winner on Saturday. The home team has won each game this series. We're joined by former NBA All-Star Caron Butler. Welcome back, Caron.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Caron, who wins tonight?
San Antonio, for numerous reasons, because I think Pop is going to make the adjustment. Obviously with Mike Conley and the pick and roll and situations like that, I thought that was a strong suit for them because every time Mike Conley got into the pick and roll, it was a switch. LaMarcus Aldridge stepped out. He isolated him. I think Marc Gasol was extremely clever enough to recognize the mismatch every time and kept giving the ball back to Mike Conley. And he's playing at an amazing clip right now. He's shooting the ball well. He's getting into the seams. He's facilitating, and he's making that team go. So it was amazing to see and watch, and I think Pop makes that adjustment.
Go ahead, Skip. That's your baby.
You gonna pick Memphis?
That's your baby. I'll let you handle your baby. Go ahead and put it in bed. Give it a little milk, put it in bed, burp it.
Caron Butler, close game, blowout.
I think it's a close game.
So do I. I think it's going to be a battle down to the wire. I told you it was going to take 7 games for my Spurs to dispatch these Grizzlies because these guys are tough mentally and physically. And David Fizdale has been the breakout star of this postseason to me. And obviously he doesn't play basketball, but he coaches basketball.
Yeah.
And his personality has sort of taken over this series. And he's fun to watch. He's fun to listen to when they have him mic'd on the sideline. He's talking about winning the line of scrimmage, which I think is a football term, right?
Yep.
So that's what they're trying to play football basketball against the Spurs, but it's skilled physicality to me because Memphis is highly skilled. And I got to tell you, Vince Carter, who is 6 months older than Manu Ginobili, is playing like he's about 28 years of age. And I'm talking about on both ends of the floor. He is defending at an extremely high level. And if I can hark back to 2014, first-round series for my Spurs, the year that they went on to blow LeBron and company off the court in the finals
That was unnecessary,
by a
Skip.
record margin.
That was unnecessary.
What happened in the first round that year? My Spurs ran into a hot Dallas Mavericks team, I thought led in part by Vince Carter. Remember? He made a big shot to win one of the early games in that series. Remember that? From the corner in Dallas? Wow. Well, I'm seeing the same guy. He's a Spurs killer on both ends because he's disrupting them defensively. And he can play high minutes. He looks like he's 28 years of age. And Ginobili is looking like he's 39 because he has yet to score a single point in 4 games. That's scary to me. So they're going to go to me tonight as Ginobili goes coming off the bench because he's got to score 5 points or 7 points, and they can't shoot 2 for 20 from 3, the rest of the team other than Kawhi, who was 7 out of 10 from 3 with all that late blast of threes. He scored, he made 5 late threes the other night just to keep them in the game. But the rest of the team went 2 for 20. They got crushed on the boards. I know it's a grindhouse effect because Fizdale got everybody riled up and revved up.
Grindhouse effect.
Well, it is. It's a grindhouse effect
You know it's
in the
tougher to win
postseason.
in Indiana than it is the grindhouse, right?
It is
Ooh,
not.
that is not
Stop
true.
it.
I'm just saying.
You're
Who had the
just-
better home record?
You are so wrong about
Who
that.
had the better home
It
record?
just
It's a
doesn't
new
matter.
season.
Yeah, who beat
What if it's a new season where you better take the guy that's for all seasons?
What happened to Golden State when they went to the grindhouse? What happened to San Antonio twice?
They went.
Come on.
Okay, Golden State also lost to Sacramento. They lost to Denver. They lost to the Miami Heat.
Well-
so don't make it seem like they unbeatable.
So San Antonio's 0 for 4 there. And again, I think it's going to be
The-
barely survive tonight. This is a do or die. If the Spurs lose tonight, they're done.
Spurs win
They're not
tonight.
going back to Memphis and win another game.
The
I'm sorry.
Spurs win tonight, and they're going to Memphis on Thursday or Friday and win again. The
Really?
series is over in 6.
I'm not going to do a reverse steak dinner bet against my team like you did
Yeah,
against
why?
your team.
You
I'm not
scared?
going to do it. No, I just don't do it. And by the way,
If Kawhi is the guy that you says he is,
this is shocking to me. Vegas has my Spurs favored by 10 points at home tonight. That is too many. Again, I'm not going to bet against my team, but if I were a betting man, I would take the 10 points
if
tonight.
Kawhi Leonard cannot close this, if Kawhi is the guy that you said he is, because when has LeBron James ever been up 2-0 and lost a series?
I got the Spurs in 7.
So do I.
I got Spurs in 6.
What was that?
What are you? Is this another steak dinner?
You got to put the
He just
wages
showing
down
love,
before.
man.
Yeah,
We just vibing right
Yeah, we
now.
got
you can't.
We on the same
You know what
wavelength
you're
right
betting
now.
on
I want-
after
you know what
you
I want?
agree.
I want $100 in Buffalo nickels.
Buffalo nickels.
Yeah, because I want you to go to the bank, and when the cashier asks you, why do you need Buffalo nickels? I lost a bet to Shannon Sharpe. He make me sick. That's what I
That
want.
would make him sick. That'd be the first bet anybody's ever lost to Shannon Sharpe.
Because you know why, Skip?
Not
I
happening.
No, you know what I want, Skip? I want his pride. I know he got $100. He got $100 in his pocket. But we go into that bank, Skip, and lug it. You know how much $100 in Buffalo nickels weigh?
No, I don't.
And when he
I've
come
never
here and
seen
sit
that
him right here on this desk,
Yep.
I told you, Karan Butler.
Well, Skip, you did call it when Coach Fizz had his. I don't want to call it a meltdown, but it had his fit on
Yeah.
the.
That was well done by him.
It was.
I get
You
it.
said that it was going to turn it around.
Hey, you saw that air ball that Kawhi shot at the end of the game that could have won?
I saw all the other shots that he
Nice.
made.
Hold on, what about that one Bron did
Thank
for
you.
you?
Bron.
Listen, Kawhi had an out-of-body performance.
It was out of body. Yep.
That's
They
what
lost.
that's what he do now.
Oh, what about that 41, 13, and 12?
He scored a career high 43
It
points.
happens. But LeBron is balling at
Next
another
up,
level as
the
well.
he had
Rockets
one-
can close out their
another one.
series at home against the Thunder in Game 5 tonight. Russell Westbrook has averaged 35 points per game in the series, but he's shooting 37% from the field. Karan, who wins Game 5 tonight?
Is 35% good?
It's 37%.
They need him to, be clicking on all cylinders. But I think Houston Rockets, pulled this game out for numerous reasons because of the supporting cast. And, you look at Eric Gordon, he's a guy that's accustomed to being accustomed in that role. You know what I'm saying? Trevor Ariza, he's a guy that's accustomed to being in that role, filling out the stage. Lou Williams is a scorer. You look at the opposing end on the others, you got Steven Adams, Victor Oladipo that have been extremely inconsistent in the series, and they play extremely well at home, the others. And then Andre Robertson, I feel bad for him. He's a guy that needs to be on the floor defensively, to guard Harden, but at the same time, he's limited offensively. So it puts them in a different situation, and Russ has to do so much. He has to do so much in order for that team to win. He have to.
By the way, any issue with what Russell was talking about, that they supposedly saw some of the Houston Rockets laughing on the bench as Robertson was missing his free throws?
That's frustrating, but make them.
Yeah.
When I seen DeAndre Jordan, shooting free throws when I was a member of the Clippers, and I saw that he was nervous and going through situations, and as a seasoned vet on the team, I was like, hey, man, you got to make the free throws. People are going to laugh if you don't make that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? You on this stage, make the free throws. They're free.
And now Robertson's desperate enough, he's shooting them like 40 feet high, trying to drop them through.
Trying everything.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty hard to watch.
I said the Rockets would win in 5, but I must admit, Russell's going to average a triple-double. But he going home in 5. All them triple-dubs. You keep that. All I know is that, hold on, how about this? Yes, they've been inconsistent, but when the guys get going, how about you keep them going? Steven Adams in Game 4 was 8 of 10. You'd like to think if he's going to shoot 80%, he get more than 10 shots. Victor Oladipo was 7 of 10. You think he's going to shoot 70%, 5 of 5 in the second half? You think he get more opportunity? That's what you were thinking too, huh? What about McDermott? More opportunity. What about when they were up 70-56? Guess what happened the next 3 possessions that the Rockets come down? OKC came down. Guess what happened? 18-footer, clank. 19-footer, clank. Hoisted up 3. Doink.
And then, Shannon, help us out. What happened when Russ went to the bench for his customary
That's what I was
rest?
getting to.
Thank you. What
Clank.
happened?
Oh!
Clank.
Do you know what happens when LeBron goes to the bench all the time?
Oh, come on, man.
I don't want to know.
We're talking about Houston and OKC.
It's over. I told Skip it was over. I said Russell will get one game.
That.
He's good enough. And that's why I'm disappointed in Paul George, because Paul George is good enough to get one game on his home court. Russell will get you one game. And that's it. It's over. It was good. Hey, thanks for participating. We'll see you next year. That's what you do, Skip.
Yeah. When you're up against a team that off its bench on Sunday at Oklahoma City brings Nene, who makes 12 out of 12 shots, and then Eric Gordon.
Come on, where did that performance come from?
Eric Gordon, the 6th man of the year, comes off the bench and makes 4 out of 7 threes, and he has 18 points.
Williams.
And then Lou Williams comes off. You want to talk about a professional
But guess
scorer.
what happened?
He has 18 points.
James Harden saw that I'm struggling. I'm 2 for 11 going into the fourth quarter. I'm going to shoot 5 times in the fourth. I'm going to make 3 of them. See, he saw Nene had it going, so what they do. When Steven Adams had it going, what happened? He went away from it. When Oladipo had it going, what happened? Went away from it.
Did that happen by design, or did the
I don't know how it happened.
Just make that happen?
That's not how they discovered Ivory soap. They say they left the batch on too long, Skip, in the bubble. So Ivory soap is the only soap that floats.
How did we get on?
I'm just trying to tell you. He talking about was it by design. Sometimes the best thing that I ever created is not by design. You think it was designed that Nene got 12 for 12? No,
Absolutely not.
They saw he was hot, and what did they do to him, Karan? Give him the rock.
Feed him.
Okay.
Guess who was guarding Nene all those times down the floor? Somebody who used to be Steven Adams. I don't know where he went. I don't know what happened to him.
But Steven Adams, they make it seem like Steven Adams was 2 or 10. He was 8 or 10.
Yeah, but there's this other thing called defense, and he doesn't play it anymore.
Well, okay, Nene was guarding him too.
Defense cost them the game at the end of the game because Steven Adams committed to Trevor Ariza on a pump fake.
What was that?
Got behind him. Nene got the and one, cost them the game.
Yeah, I like that, Nene. Do what you do, Nene.
Yep.
Nene.
Well, Russell will go down fighting tonight, and I think he will go
I
down.
love the fight. I love the fight. I love a man that fight.
You bring such a calming, sensible
Quran,
The
Don't you love
MVP,
energy
the
to the
MVP
set.
still.
Quran.
Just
he's still the
wisdom
MVP.
and knowledge.
If a man gonna send you
Pass it
home,
that
you
way.
ain't going without a fight, are you?
And
You
by
gonna
the way,
fight to the bitter end,
Don't let it
but
all
you're
out.
going home.
What's going to happen if Golden State happens to get to Cleveland in the finals?
Oh, they putting on a demonstration.
Ooh.
Get ready.
Yes, a
meet.
demonstration.
Hold up, I heard
Whoa.
somebody said that last year.
You don't
Skip.
struggle with undeveloped muscle. Golden State is going to put on a demonstration.
LeBron James says we have a chance to win it all, and I ain't gonna tell you the reason why. Why does LeBron think he got a chance to win it all, Karan?
He always think that.
That's because why?
The best player on the planet.
No mercy. Monday Morning Quarterback is reporting the Patriots are unlikely to trade defensive back Malcolm Butler this offseason. Butler signed a one-year tender for nearly $4 million last week with the Patriots, which would have allowed the team to trade him. New England also officially signed running back Mike Gillislee after the Bills declined to match the Patriots' offer. We're joined by Chris Carter, but Skip, let me start with you. How prohibitive a favorite should New England be to repeat?
All I know is that in all my years of covering the National Football League, which is a lot of years, I can never remember on April 25th a more prohibitive favorite than New England is today. Now, you two know all too well how much can go wrong in August and September and October. But right here, right now, they are outrageously better than anybody else in the National Football League because let's get this straight. Now they're able to keep Malcolm Butler to pair with their free agent signing of Stephon Gilmore, the best corner on the market. And they're also now, Buffalo has allowed them to keep Mike Gillislee. And I don't know how many people know him, but every time I watched Buffalo play New England or anybody else, he would leap off my TV screen because he hits the hole hard. And then I start looking at these second-level numbers, and I'm not really into all this, but he led the NFL in yards per rush and rushes per touchdown and first down rate and third down conversion rate, all those numbers that really matter to a running back on small sample size. He did. So I think he's really good, and I'm starting to think that New England just pulled another Chris Hogan on Buffalo and stole another player who's going to be really good in a small way for New England. So wait a second, Stephon Gilmore and Brandon Cooks and Coney Ealy, and they kept Dante Hightower. They're just, I don't even know who the second best team in the NFL is today. Is it the New York Football Giants with no running game to speak of and a shaky offensive line? Maybe they'll get it back in the draft. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm not even sure. It's like head and shoulder pads above the field right now.
I agree with everything you said, because think about it. The Broncos won Super Bowl 50, and on Monday, the Patriots opened up as the favorite. So if the Patriots win Super Bowl 51, you automatically assume. And on paper, they look better than the team that actually won the Super Bowl. And you mentioned something very interesting in that stat, Skip. You see a small sample size. And that's exactly how the Patriots will use him. And that same small sample size to maximize his effort, to maximize what he can do really well. They're not going to all of a sudden he had 135 touches, try and bump that up to 200, because guess what? We still have White. We still have Deion Lewis. We got Rex Burkhead. Now we got Gillislee. So they're stacked. But here's the thing, Skip. I don't care they got Gillislee. I don't care that they traded for Dwayne Allen. I don't care if they got Stephon Gilmore. As long as they got the Bs, Brady and Belichick, regardless of the order you want to place them in, they're going to be the favorite. Now, a lot of things can happen between April 25th and the time the season starts, because I still believe everybody is an injury away from upsetting the entire apple cart. But as long as they can stay healthy, and I still want to see how well Brady plays at the age of 40. I know what he looked like at 39 because he had a quarter of a season break not playing, but playing 40 and then playing all 16 games is a different story. So we'll see.
If this was any of the other 31 teams around the league that we have seen, say over the last 10 years since free agency what it is today, we've seen some teams go out in the offseason. I'm in Philadelphia a number of years ago. They announced themselves as the dream team. Remember that?
Vince
Washington, Washington thought they had gotten the answer with Albert Haynesworth and realized he was nothing but a bunch of questions. So I think Skip, me, you, and Shannon, that we've seen over the last 30 years, some of the dominant teams. When San Francisco, when they had Joe Montana, they went out and added a couple other veterans, a pass rusher. We saw Dallas with the triplets. add Deion Sanders. So we knew that, okay, they were already dominant type teams, and they went out and added these other pieces. Not in this new NFL have we seen where there is so much parity. Have we seen the New England Patriots clearly that much better in the offseason? Because to me, what Belichick has done is ingenious. He's adopted the NBA theory. If you look at the teams in the NBA now, those draft picks are not worth anything. If you want to be a good team in the NBA, you got to get old, all right? You got to get specific. You got to get spacing on the court. So what does New England do? They get older. Forget those draft picks. Forget the salary cap. Let's get us some older guys who I believe our coaches can coach them up better than when they were on your team.
That's a good point.
So Malcolm Butler, I know they're saying he's not up for trade, but I believe in the next 3 days he can still be traded.
Could be.
Because that's what Belichick, if you give him a deal that he can't refuse, but they've changed their philosophy with the draft. They're getting out of the draft and they're getting older, just like the NBA teams have done to try to win a championship. And it's amazing to see the best of the best try to just get a little bit better. And that's what we're seeing with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady and everything that's going on there in New England. It's exciting to see.
Everybody keeps saying, oh, he's not available. If the price is right, he's available. I believe everybody on that team is tradable except the guy that takes the ball from the center.
That's true.
I believe for
The second guy who takes the ball from center is still available, Garoppolo.
I believe if for the right price, they will move Gronk.
They would.
Make him an offer. And Bill, hold on.
I agree.
You give me a first and a third for Gronk, or you give me a second and a third for Gronk?
Yeah. Beat up, can't stay on the field.
Hey, CC, because I'm a firm believer. Anything that can be bought can be sold.
Yeah, because also you have to look at the team, look at the players they added. But don't forget, we got to add Gronk to that, too, because they won that Super Bowl 51 without him.
And that's what.
So that's like picking up another player.
And Coach Belichick's looking at him like, hold on, I know he's valuable. I know he's the most dominant tight end, has a chance to be the greatest tight end ever. But guess what? We won a lot. We won 4 of the 5 Super Bowls without a tight end named Rob Gronkowski.
True.
And they're getting the pick of the litter. They had Adrian Peterson come there for an interview. You know what, Adrian Peterson, he was so desperate, and Bill Belichick has so much respect. You know what, we'll never see it. What did he do?
Worked him out.
Put your shoes on. Put your shorts on. I'm getting ready to work. I'm getting ready to give you a tryout.
Hey, I was a free agent, Skip. I went around the teams. Guess what? Hey, you know what they did?
Skip.
They got my records. I wasn't working out. I like, work out? Where they do that at?
Skip, that would be like, okay, you was in the middle, you might be making a transition. Jamie and them telling you, you know something, Skip, we're going to sneak you in. We're going to do a screen. You're going to do an audition. Man, I got to go. Man, I got to go. I'm getting...
Hey, Skip, you coming over here, but you got the audition.
Yeah, at night, got audition. Can't nobody see you.
Huh? What they do that?
Hey,
Joy.
Skip is a little more rare than Adrian Peterson.
Thank you, Joy. I
They know what's going on.
Well,
But they did want us to rehearse Undisputed a little bit before, and I was like, we probably don't need that.
Yeah,
much.
but you know what, Skip? Hey, Skip, let your boy get some, Skip. Because they want to rehearse. Skip said, I don't do no rehearsing. Skip said, I'm unscripted.
Well, you and I.
Yeah, Skip said, I'm unscripted.
We rehearsed on first take.
Yeah.
Right?
No rehearsal for you.
No.
But we're going to take him out laps in the morning, okay?
Thanks for joining us.
They brought me in August. I was expecting to be here for the first week. Skip said, we ain't doing no rehearsal. I was on the plane back to Georgia. I was like, yes, I know that Skip Bayless. I don't care what they say about Skip Bayless. You got me out. You got me out of the week.
Well, you better deliver. No mercy. Adam Schefter is reporting NFL teams have been notified that Jabrill Peppers tested for a dilute sample at the NFL Combine last month. Peppers' agency says it's a misunderstanding and that Peppers was ill and drank an excessive amount of fluids. Peppers is projected by many to be a late first-round pick. We're joined by Fox Sports football analyst Joel Klatt. Welcome, Joel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Joel.
How are you guys?
How are you?
Good.
Okay.
Well, he always perks up like he's
It's
ready
all
for
you.
the
Hey,
debate.
watch it, Joel.
All right.
He's ready to go when you get up here. How high would you take Peppers?
You know, so before we get into like the actual value of what Jabrill is and where he falls in the draft, I think it's really important to understand this whole dilute test issue. Because I think there's a lot of false information out there, and you're going to hear it. First of all, you're going to hear some media outlets claim this as just tested positive for dilute sample. You don't test positive for a dilute sample. Your sample is dilute. Okay, so that's a big fallacy. Now, how is a sample dilute? I think that's very important to understand. They don't test the water intake or how much water is in the actual sample. They're actually testing for creatinine levels, to get technical. And the creatinine levels, if they fall below 20 milligrams per deciliter, then you have a dilute sample. Now, how do you get to 20 milligrams per deciliter or below? It's very simple. And when doing a little bit of research, you can find out if you struggle with cramps, if you're struggling with hydration, and you're trying to force fluids at all, you're going to come very close to having a dilute sample, because the standard is around 12 ounces per hour for about 3, 4, maybe 5 hours prior to your test. That's only 48 ounces of water. Okay, I'm here to tell you that Jabrill Peppers struggled with cramps mightily. It was a huge issue for him all the way back to his high school days at Paramus Catholic in New Jersey. He struggled with it at Michigan, and he was a tweener prospect, meaning that he was going to work out at 2 different positions at the NFL Scouting Combine, which is almost unheard of. He was going to do DB drills. He's going to do linebacker drills. He was, at least some say, under the weather. So he's forcing liquids, and now all of a sudden he's got this dilute test because he drank too much water, and the NFL says that's a failed drug test, and now you've got to enter our drug policy when you enter the NFL. I think that this whole standard is an NFL problem, not a Jabrill Peppers problem. I want to get that out very clear.
So are you buying that it was dehydration?
I think it very easily could have been. Very easily. Now, I don't buy it with every player, but with him, knowing his circumstances of what he struggles with, I think it could very easily be just a fluid intake issue.
Are these exercise-induced cramps, or these walking around in street clothes cramps?
Back to his high school days, he struggled mostly exercise-induced. But again, working out at 2 different positions, running all the drills.
But you test before you start working out, Joel. You know that.
I understand, but that's when you're going to need to force the fluids, is before you work out. So you're going to test, you're going to drug test before the drills. Well, you're also going to hydrate before the drill. So this is right during your prime hydration period before a workout. So that being said, I think there's enough people in the NFL that understand that this is somewhat of a bogus, failed test, and I don't think it's going to hurt his value. So there are 4 places that I think Jabrill Peppers could very well end up. High end, Baltimore, right in the middle of the first round. I think Miami is a great landing spot for him. And plus, remember Stephen Ross, he's a Michigan man. There's ties there, so he can make calls up there and actually ask Jim Harbaugh, hey, is this a test that you think is positive, or is it just a water intake issue? And then Pittsburgh at 30, and possibly if he falls to the second round, watch for San Francisco, day 2, second pick of the second round. That's where he could end up. But remember, I think this is an NFL issue. This should not be a failed test. Joe Thomas has tweeted about it. I totally agree with him because of the science behind what an actual dilute test is.
I think the biggest thing for me, I think a lot of his drop has to do with that he's a guy that doesn't really have a position.
Right.
Is he a safety? Is he a really, really undersized linebacker? He played out of position, so it's hard to evaluate him. It's easy. Look at Hooker. Look at Adams. We know what they are. We know who they are and what
secondary players.
They're right. And Adams can drop down and get in the slot and cover slot receiver. Is Jabrill Peppers, is he Tyrann Mathieu? No, I don't think he's athletic. Tyrann Mathieu played corner. He played safety in the NFL. He also played in the slot in college. He was a return man also in college. But for me, Skip, the thing is that, and I hope it is just that. Because what we've seen over the years is that guys drink a lot of water trying to mask something. And I'm willing to give the guy the benefit of the doubt because I don't know him. Because my thing is, I always question, if you go to the combine, Jabrill Peppers didn't play in the bowl game. And now maybe he had an injury or whatever it was. He knew I'm going into the NFL draft because he didn't play in the bowl game. So he also knows if I'm going into the draft, guess where I got to show up at, Skip? Combine. At the combine, what are they going to do, Skip? They're going to test me. Not only are they going to get a urine sample, if you had a recent surgery, they're probably going to tug on those limbs to see how far along you are in your surgery. If you had surgery before, we want to see how secure, how sturdy the surgery is. I know. I've been there. So I know they pull. And if you got something that might be a little loose, guess what? By the time they get done tugging on it, it'll be a lot loose. That's why they don't, a lot of guys, they have agents, they're not doing the medical. we'll do the medical at a later date and time. Because we're not going to let you try and separate our shoulder or twist our ankle and make it uncomfortable. You're like, oh, he ain't not ready. At a later date and time, we'll give you the medical. We'll let you do the medical.
Okay.
So I will give you the benefit. I'm willing to give the young man the benefit of the doubt. Because if he was trying to mask something, when he's going to the combine, you either all-time dumb or you got a really bad habit.
Sure.
It's one of the two. There's really no in between.
Nope.
If I know I got to take the test, I'm stopping. Because all you got to do is stop, Skip. It's just like now, 420. The NFL, around the league, Skip, on 420, what do? They test for recreational drugs. As long as you don't got that in your system, you come back clean, do what you got to do.
Or you can mask if you're skilled at masking.
Or you try to, because now they test for the masking agents.
Okay.
But that's the thing, though, Skip, and it bothers me. I get so many people. Weed is not addictive. Tell Josh Gordon that. Got, $50 million. Because that's what Dad's got. Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. Skip, he threw that away because he can't stop chiefing. And you tell me it's not addictive. An addiction is anything that, regardless of the consequences, you can't stop doing. That's an addiction. But I'm willing to give I don't know enough about his background. I don't know enough about him, Skip, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I hope, Joel, that's the case.
Sure.
That this was a situation where he drank an enormous amount of water, because if he didn't, and he's trying to master this, he's all-time dumb or he got a really bad habit.
But you're still skeptical of his on-the-field ability.
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
you wouldn't take him until round 2?
Yeah, I'm not moving up to get him. And if he keeps falling down the board, I'll take my chances. Because the thing is, Skip, I think that you can find guys that was equal that I know, I got tape on them playing the position in college. So I can look at their tape and get a fair evaluation as opposed to him playing a rover back or a bandit, being around the line of scrimmage. Maybe he is a strong safety. Maybe he can be an in-box safety.
Kind of an undersized Cam Chancellor, if you
but
will.
Earl Thomas and guys are looking like they want, who is the next Earl Thomas that was in the line of the Troy Polamalu's, the Ed Reeds, and the Sean Taylors? That's what they're looking for at safety.
And that's Jamal Adams, to your earlier point.
Yes.
For once, shockingly, I'm with Mr. Klatt on this one. And I think Ozzie Newsome might just snap him right up at whatever pick that is, Baltimore.
They're right around 16, I believe.
That mid-first round.
They just got, now, they just signed Jefferson and they just signed Weber.
You know what? This guy is a football player. And I'm just going to go right on record. I watch TV. I don't watch coach's tape. This guy always leaped off my screen. I can't do stats because he intercepted only one ball his career. But I can do eye test. He plays with explosive athletic ability. He plays with charisma to me, where he just leaps off your screen because he's in the middle of everything. He was the driving force of a defense that was ranked #1 in the nation until the last week of the season. And I get it. Is he jack of all trades, master of none? I don't care where he plays. He just plays football to me. He makes things happen. He disrupts. You could turn him into the best blitzer, edge blitzer in the National Football League, I think, because he gets it. Just watch his workouts. Just watch him move. He moves like an explosive athlete, not just like an athlete, but like a football player athlete to me. And I love to watch him. He can return, which is the bonus. You could use him on punt returns. You could probably use him on kickoff returns. He'd like to play a little offense. He thinks he can be a running back. I wouldn't want to see that, but again, I just want him on my football team. And I got to tell you, if he falls to 28, my Cowboys are sitting there looking at Jabrill Peppers, I would run that pick up to the front because he would help their defense in any way, shape, or form you want to use him.
You know what I'd do, Skip? If he falls to 28, I would run that pick up there and says, Jerry, I want to trade you Richard Sherman for that 28 pick. Would you rather have him or Richard Sherman?
Richard Sherman, but I've said that 1,000 times, and apparently Seattle is holding out for far more than the 28th overall pick. Apparently. I don't know that, but
I will say defensively, and I know that in the NFL, you got to have guys that can cover. And understand that. And it's become a more
because everybody's playing 4 and 5 wides now.
That's right. And so it's become a more of a man coverage league than anything. As the slot has started to become more dominated by smaller skill positions, I think that's more of a recent development. Wouldn't you agree? It used to be dominated by guys like you, Shannon. But now it's
Wes
the
Welkers and the Edelmans.
Because of that, A guy like Peppers, I think, has a little more value now than he did 10 years ago because of his versatility with smaller players in the slot. And the other thing that I just think is a foundational piece of the way I view football, and this might be more of a college aspect, but I view football in particular on the defensive side as you have to build your defense front to back and then inside out. And because of that, this guy holds value because he is a middle-of-the-field stalwart. Yeah. Whether it's down near the line of scrimmage, at the second level, or even in the third level, this guy makes plays. I know his interception total wasn't up there where guys want it to be, but remember, he was used in far different ways, much more of a Swiss Army knife for Michigan and Don Brown, their defensive coordinator.
Last quick point. You mentioned Jamal Adams, and I respect him, but I watched a whole lot of LSU, and I got to say, he did not flash for me. He didn't leap off my screen the way Malik Hooker did. I know he's had some off-season surgery, but every time I watched Ohio State, the game you did at Oklahoma, I'm like, whoa.
You didn't see Adams against Alabama?
I did.
Adams is a really good player, and what they're going to fall in love with Adams is his football acumen because he's a locker room guy. He's a leader. He's going to be the captain of your defense in 4 years, whereas Malik Hooker really only played a small amount of football. He's more of a basketball player than
he hurt with those hamstrings.
And he did, and he had a hard time. He does make plays. So there's your like potential versus football guy.
Skip, all these guys that make these decisions, how many times have we heard a guy had problems with cramps and he drank a lot of water? Now, this story is not unique to him.
Right.
At some point in time, you got to come up with a better story.
But it's a very good story.
Real quickly on this whole testing issue. When you're drug testing and you're putting your sample in a cup, someone has to watch it come out of your body, right? So if that person sees that it's clear, they should automatically say, come back in 8 hours or 10 hours and give me a second sample. This can be easily avoided through procedural process.
You did a very, very good job. A lot of big words of explaining.
They paid me $50,000 to handle this. I ain't got time to be telling you to do all that. All I'm doing is here to get these samples.
No, just get it right. No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Undisputed is back tomorrow for more debates. We'll talk to you then. Fox Sports, one of one.